Da 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 da. What's my good chair? Welcome, welcome, everybody. I just thought for a moment there was an update, and I had to re-enter in those titles and those dates in my analytics to make sure that everything was okay. And sometimes in that nervousness when you first come in, you go, "Oh my goodness, is it going to work? Is it going to work?" YouTube has never failed me. And that's an honest truth. I've been with YouTube and doing these lives. I've been on YouTube for over 10 years now, right? And I have been going live probably for about, I would say, 6 of those years. I have been going live, and it has been a process for me. I'm a little bit comfortable, but I have to say, I have never not been able to go live if I chose to go live, right? Right? Sometimes, that you think that in those hiccups and in those panic moments when your camera's not working or something, it's calm down, right? Everything's going to be okay. And I'm not even like I said, and you guys know me, there have been times where I've gone years going live every single day, and I have never had an issue. Now I've had the pushback, which isn't that fumbling, it isn't that little bit of panic mode, it is smacking around the microphone and pulling plugs, and right. But we do that to ourselves, I do believe, right? Because right, I'd have to say 99.99% of the time I have always managed to come right back in somehow. At least that's what I'm saying, in working in social media and divvying out my craft here on YouTube. That's what I have found, and I am very grateful. I have no idea, right? Well, I know how it happened, but I know how I have no idea how I got so hungry for it that I found such a residence and such a home, right? And a lot of that is being seen and being heard, and in practicing that craft of being seen and being heard, right? I'd love to be on the couch with the remote control, but who would that be serving? Well, number one, I wouldn't be doing that, but just as an analogy, right? Because I would be spending that time in the lessons, and I would be looking at the world through the perspective of so many other great, smart human beings that are out there doing their own thing. And, it's how I've gotten to where I am today, where I can come in here and be comfortable. And when those hiccups happen, I'm not too frazzled, that I'm able to kind of ride the wave for the moment that it needs me to ride the wave. And then I'm just right back to my cat dish. I always use my cat as an analogy for that, because she has those moments when you take her out of her surroundings or what she knows. If she's outside and there's loud traffic, when I'm putting her in her cat cage, she knows something's up, right? And she goes into these hyper moments, right? But you pull her out of that cat cage and she's going straight to the cat food dish, right? She's purring away. She's super happy, super content, because she's learned to, right, calm that system down immediately after it's been stressed out, right? And if you're anything like me, you guys, being highly sensitive, right? Being empathic, having those hyper vigilant tendencies about you, when you're always paying attention, you're always taking things in, but you're just, right, not comfortable with being seen and being heard, right? And to be honest, it takes time, right? I'm overcoming those small hiccups where the system calms down and I roll right into my live. But if you go back even 3, 4, 5 years, right? And watch those videos and you'll see how I stumbled over myself, right? And it wasn't that I didn't want to be seen and I didn't want to be heard, but in that upbringing and in those experiences of my own life, right? That somehow I got it in my head that, things were a little bit safer, things were a little bit calmer, little things were a little bit more comfortable when I was by myself. But without learning, without looking at and experiences other experiences, um, by taking in and being open to other people's experiences, that we don't find these new perspectives, right, that could help lead us into maybe a life that we do feel more comfortable in, that we do feel more safe in, that maybe we don't have to be so hyper vigilant, right? I create my surroundings 100%. And, I guard those surroundings with my values, and I just stick to those values. And every once in a while, somebody will step over, right? But look at it. Just was that an accident, right? Did they not know that that was the property line of my existence, right? And just have a conversation, let it be known, right? Or was there intent in that? And that's where we get, because we look for that, right? Because we have experienced that so much in our lives that we look for that. We spend a lot of time in that. Yes, we are safe, but quite often, right, we are too safe because we are too isolated, and that's how you're going to notice that, right? But sometimes that isolation is needed and it is beneficial, and we can't help anybody until we help ourselves. And that was something I really had to learn, because I was all gung-ho. I was going to be a YouTube superstar, right? And I've been at this for 10 years now. It is a work in progress, and we shouldn't be afraid, because we have to start somewheres. We have to start somewheres, right? You're, what are the percentage of us are Logan Pauls, right? I just used him as an analogy, but there are lots of people out there. I'm not just saying he's the only one, but that is a small percentage. And unless we put that work in, right? And you can't say that Logan Paul doesn't work hard. That is a main ingredient. Okay, I don't know how I got to that. I got 5 more minutes, you guys. Let's grab a card. First perspective. First thing that comes to mind in this powerful word that we're about to pick. This is my homemade deck of 54 powerful words. I've taken a little break from the cards, obviously. Um, uh, Even though I've been hard at work at this for over a year, right? And it is, again, a work in progress, just like I am, right? But I'm not going to beat myself up on it, because my focus isn't, right, necessarily in this in the moment. It works for what it needs to do. Okay, you guys, first perspective, couple minutes, and then off I go in that job. Start the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Monday, we're working towards a car. Okay, our word. Perception. Now, isn't that a good one? Because that has been in my conversations and in those lessons that I just kind of come across, or those experiences, that sometimes it is in our perception of things, right? In that little bit, like we were talking about hypervigilance, that we get ourselves all worked up into something, to realize that was us that I did it, that it was a totally different outcome, a totally different story, right? A totally different perception of somebody else. And when we're working with perceptions, you got to realize, right? You're not the only one with a perception, right? You're not the only one with ideas and thoughts and tendencies and triggers. There's a good one, because triggers will dictate how we perceive the world and perceive our surroundings, perceive the people around us, right? What did I write here? This was one of the cards that I did write a thought. Perception is the learning process to a perspective. Isn't that true? Perception is the learning process to a perspective, right? Our perception of things, right? When you get to that point of perspective, that's a solid, that's a belief, that's a truth, that's your faith, that's your steadfast. And none of us, especially moving along in this human evolution, should ever get ourselves right steadfast concrete in the ground, right? It's in that diversiveness, big word for Cindy, right? That we get to expand and we get to assimilate and we get to, uh, um, in synthesis, combined all parts of us, right? And how are we going to be able to do that if we can't be out there and experience parts of us that we don't even know that exist, that they're not even a thought, they're not even a breath, they're not even coming across our paths, they're just a total blank, right? I had no idea what the word empath was until I was 57 years old. Empathy, that word had come across my path many times, but I thought empathy was just feeling people's feelings, knowing how people feel. I can do that, right? But I didn't know not everybody can do that, and to what extent that they're capable of being able to do that. And necessarily it's not a gift, but we earned that badge, so we're going to utilize that, right? And in our hypervigilance, it comes in very, very handy, and in our movement, right? When we are blank, right? When we are blank, that's something in us, right, is able to help steer that wheel to make sure that everything's okay till it can get us to a point where we can be open to the idea, or something or someone does come across your path, right? And you're off and running in the perception, right, to a new perspective. It's a good one, you guys. I could go on and on. This is a good card, and a good card to look at things in different ways too, because that's what it's about, right? Because we're all so different, and we're all out there looking for people like us, and we're never ever going to do that. The idea is to get close to people enough that they can understand where your limits are, where your triggers are, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what makes you mad, right? Right? And that's true, and that makes for a good partnership, right? Because then we're calm enough and we're open enough to get the next lesson, the next perception that will lead us to the new perspective. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer. We will see you on Monday. If you want to pop in Sunday, hang out with us, right? Chatters Live. It's my Sunday night show. I have an amazing crew over there, and they chat more than I do. And I leave that chat open for everybody to come in, even myself. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer, and we'll see you Monday. Bye bye.